We live in an era where everyone is a healer, energy worker, mindset coach, emotional alchemist, and self-proclaimed guru of growth. You can't open your phone without tripping on someone telling you how to heal your inner child. Why their own inner child is probably on life support, right? But that's the new market. Pain as performance. Healing has become an industry, and empathy now has a subscription plan. Once upon a time, people went to elders for wisdom. Now they go to influencers for advice. And the strange part, the advice sounds the same. Let go. Trust the process. Do the work. Except now, the process has a price tag and the work comes with a wait list. Healing isn't about transformation anymore. It's about presentation. The irony is breathtaking. The healer who hasn't healed and the patient who is addicted to the story of being broken. They find each other like magnets. One needs to feel needed. The other needs to feel seen. Both get validation. Neither gets better. It's emotional capitalism, if you ask me, where your pain is the currency and someone else's cashes in. The healer posts about boundaries, but still can't say no to chaos. The patient talks about self-love, but only feels alive when someone is listening. They call it holding space, but it's just transaction of trauma. One gets clout, the other gets comfort. Neither gets closure. You ever notice how modern healing sounds like marketing? Abundance mindset, vibrational frequency, release what no longer serves you. It's all beautiful until you realize that half of it is just rebranded common sense. And the other half is projection in poetic form. But we eat it up though, because it's easier to say I am manifesting peace than to say I am avoiding accountability. That's the irony of emotional work. The deeper it gets commodified, the more surface level it becomes. Because real healing is boring. It's quiet, it's lonely, it's private. There's no hashtag for patience, no sponsorship for silence, and no followers for humility. But fake healing, that's performance gold. Let's talk about the psychology behind it. When people experience chronic uncertainty, they look for patterns that promise control. That's how belief systems form, and the self-help industry knows this. They don't sell you healing, they sell you hope with a recurring payment option. It's the illusion of progress, the dopamine of doing the work without the discomfort of confronting yourself. And that's why so many are stuck, not because they are unwilling to heal, but because they have been taught to confuse processing with performing. The healer in many cases isn't malicious. They are just overcompensating if you think about it. They build a career out of fixing others because they couldn't fix themselves. Helping people became their therapy and validation became their medicine. But medicine taken for too long becomes addiction. That's why some healers can't stop healing. They need the broken to feel whole. And the patient? Sometimes they don't want to heal. They just want the idea of healing because pain gives identity. It gives story. It gives community. We call it vulnerability, but often it's performance act, trauma with a brand strategy. That's the ecosystem we built. The healer needs to be needed. The patient needs to be pitied. And both pretend that growth is happening. But emotional growth doesn't come from talking about pain. It comes from transforming your relationship to it. You can't heal what you keep rehearsing. Look closer and you will see it everywhere. Podcasts preaching peace from unhealed hosts. TikTok diagnosing trauma in 15 seconds. Therapy memes giving spiritual permission to stay dysfunctional. It's not that the messages are wrong. They are just misplaced. They take deep truth and turn them into easy slogans. And in doing so, they cheapen the very medicine they claim to sell. Healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. And that's why most people don't finish the journey, because real healing doesn't give you identity. It takes one away. It leaves you without the crunch of pain. And without pain, who are you? That's the question no one is monetizing. The healer who needs healing is not the villain. They are the symptom of a culture that equates knowledge with growth. We think reading the book is the same as living the lesson. We think saying the mantra is the same as doing the work. We think knowing better automatically means doing better. But wisdom without embodiment is just well-researched denial. The patient performing pain isn't evil either. They are just stuck in the echo chamber of empathy. When every conversation rewards disclosure over discipline, you stop growing and start repeating. Because comfort without correction is just a lullaby for stagnation. Here's the truth though. Healing doesn't always look like calm voices and candles. Sometimes it's ugly, it's angry, it's inconvenient. Sometimes you lose friends who benefited from your brokenness. Sometimes you stop identifying with people who call it growth when it's really avoidance. And sometimes the healer you need is the version of you that stopped pretending. In every generation, there's a new language for healing. But the principles never change. Awareness, accountability, and action. The problem is we stopped at awareness and turned accountability into aesthetics. We call it self-awareness, but it's often just self-obsession with better lightning. When the healer needs healing and the patient performs pain, they mirror each other perfectly. Both afraid of stillness, both addicted to validation, and both terrified of what quiet might reveal. That's not healing. That's codependence with a business plan. True healing isn't sexy. It doesn't trend. It doesn't make you popular. It just makes you free. Free from the need to prove you have healed. Free from the addiction to being understood. Free from the identity of suffering. So if you ever find yourself being both healer and patient, the one giving advice while quietly falling apart, just know this, my G. You are not a fraud. You are a reminder that healing isn't linear. It's recursive. It loops. It revisits, humbles, and rebuilds. But you can't skip the parts that hurt and still expect to be whole. The world doesn't need more healers or patients. It needs humans aware enough to listen, humble enough to learn, and grounded enough to know that healing isn't a brand, it's a responsibility. Because at the end of the day, you can only lead someone as far as you have led yourself. And if you keep pretending to be their guide while avoiding your own shadows, eventually you both get lost. That's when you realize healing was never supposed to be a career. It was supposed to be a commitment. And the moment you stop performing pain, you finally start processing it.